This video is going to cover the basics of call tracking in ActiveDEMAND. The idea behind call tracking is quite simple. You have a phone number that's displayed, whether it's on your website or it's on the back of a truck or it's on some sign or some printed material, and when that number is called, that number will phone ActiveDEMAND. ActiveDEMAND will then forward the call based on some rules to somewhere in your organization. And in the process, we capture the call in ActiveDEMAND as a conversion, and typically we're able to get some other data relative to the call that gives you some insight as to which of your marketing activities are working or which are not. For example, the number on this website is a tracked number from ActiveDEMAND, and when you phone this number, it will direct it to somebody within the organization based on some rules. The fact that this number is on the website, we get some extra information as marketers as to how somebody got to the page, whether they got here via a search term or they got here via a paid ad or some social media post. This type of data is captured in the session, and by calling this number, we associate this number with this session. And as such, as marketers, we're able to say not only that one, a conversion happened, but two, that the conversion happened because of this specific marketing spend. So when you're in ActiveDEMAND, you can add a tracked number by clicking the Call Tracking Number button on the toolbar. Or you can browse down to Call Tracking, which is under Assets. And in this area is where you add your tracked numbers to be used in different types of campaigns. There are two types of marketing campaigns that we typically use tracked numbers with. One is an offline campaign. So an offline campaign is where we're doing some type of a marketing initiative that doesn't directly relate to the website. One is, for example, print advertising. Of course, you may be directing somebody to the website via print advertising, but typically with print advertising, somebody is going to call the number on the ad, and really without a tracked number, there isn't a way to truly track the effectiveness of the print spend. So offline initiatives, like I said, is print, whether you're painting the number on the side of a vehicle or a road sign or any of these types of things. Again, putting a tracked number on these offline initiatives is a great way to track conversions based on somebody viewing the offline advertising. The second type of marketing initiative that we're using tracked numbers for is an online initiative. When I say online, I mean some type of marketing initiative where the number is actually going to be displayed on a web page. And when somebody sees the number, they call the number. Again, we're trying to not only track the conversion, we're trying to get some of that rich data that's available with the website tracking. So when I'm differentiating between offline and online, again, offline is really where the ad is displayed, and I guess another category of marketing initiative is clearly paid or click to call type of ads, where somebody sees the ad and clicks the ad and the number is connected, or they call somebody and never actually make it to your website. So the two differentiations, again, I would say I would categorize the pay-per-click and the ad type of initiatives in one category, and the other type of category is where we're trying to tap into the rich data that's available on the website. When I'm talking about initiatives where the tracked number is not being viewed on your website, creating a tracked number is very easy. Just click this button here. You're presented with a dialog. You make a choice whether it's a local or a toll-free number. And if you're trying to put a regional specific number, like for example, let's say you have a New York office, you can just type in here New York and go ahead and search, and it will display a bunch of numbers that are local to New York. You can as well use search terms like, for example, the area code, or if you're looking for a phrase that the numbers will spell out, or a specific combination of numbers, again, there's the opportunity to filter the search that is available. And this list below shows you all of the numbers that are available for purchase. And the number of numbers that are available that are dependent on time. Sometimes the pool of numbers is very shallow, other times there's a lot of numbers, so you just have to keep checking back if the number you're looking for is not available. So to choose a number, you just check it, or you can check multiple ones, and then you go select. You're presented with another dialog box here where you get to choose where you're going to forward the number, etc. There's this concept of forwarding, a routing rule rather, where you get to choose when and where and who the number is being forwarded to, and we'll talk about the routing rules in just a little bit. But you can type in here any phone number that you want. When this track number is called, you want this track call to be default to forward to this number. So you add a number here as a default is the recommendation. If you're using the concept of contact management with contact managers in ActiveDEMAND, you can check this checkbox here, and automatically, if somebody calls a contact that already has a contact manager, instead of forwarding the number to the default number, it will actually forward the number to the contact manager's phone number, and you just check that box right here. And these are the default forwarding rules. And if you apply a routing rule, which is really a more advanced forwarding system, the fallback will be to whatever's configured here. And the next box is enable recording. This allows you to record the calls, UTM source and UTM medium. And this is typically when you're using offline initiatives, you might want to be setting the UTM source and medium for attribution calculations. And the next two pieces here is the whisper message and the preamble. The whisper message, this is the message that is spoken to the person who picks up the phone. So if you, for example, put in here web lead or offline lead rather, whatever you type in here, when the person who is picking up the call from the forwarded number picks up the call, the first thing they will hear is whatever is typed in here will be spoken. The preamble, this is the message that is going to be spoken to the caller. So the caller, for example, you may type in here, this call may be recorded for quality purposes. So it's a case that this stuff is being displayed or spoken to the person who is calling before the call is connected. So that's pretty straightforward. If you click save, the number will be added to your list of numbers here. Now, looking at this screen here, you'll see one, this is how you edit the number. This other little button here, this gives you the ability to export a web form and export a web form for click to call. Because ActiveDEMAND has the ability to allow you to put a web form on your website that is displayed to users, and they can just type in their phone number, press call, and they will be connected with one is it'll call the prospect who's pressed the submit button, and it will connect that call to the forwarded number. And so if you click that, it exports the HTML that you can embed in a website. If you're using WordPress and you're using the WordPress plugin for ActiveDEMAND, you'll get a little button that's right here, and this will list all of the available web forms in ActiveDEMAND for your account, including the click-to-call buttons, or the click-to-call forms rather. So you choose your web form, you insert a short code on your page, you save your page, then when you preview the page it will show you a form here, and the prospect types in here, clicks this, and voila, the call is connected. You can customize the CSS, etc. for these within ActiveDEMAND, either by exporting the web form here where you get full access to the CSS and the HTML, or by, for the specific accounts that have access to it, you can click on web forms and get the full style toolkit for styling and labeling, etc., the click-to-call web form. Now I'm going to talk about call routing. And the call routing, this is an advanced feature for deciding where and when, etc., that the calls will be forwarded. For example, you might have somebody after hours who's looking after the sales line. So you would build a schedule first and then apply the schedule to a call routing rule. So schedules, for example, I have two set up here. One is weekend, and if you look at this, it's really just weekend, weekday. I've chosen weekend and this time range here. So whenever a call is received during this time period, any routing rule that uses this schedule will have the number forwarded. So you can create call schedules to be used in your routing rules. And a routing rule, it's really simple as well. You put a name, maybe it's weekends, or we'll just say offline calls. And really what we do is add scenarios, and the scenario is, for example, all calls that are not received during the weekend we'll forward to a specific number. And we can type as many numbers as we want in here. It'll call all of them, and the first one that answers gets the call. So for example, here I'm using a schedule, and I can reference a schedule. So calls received during this time, calls received not during this time will be added to here. And we can continue to add scenarios, and of course the scenarios are executed in order. So if we make a mistake, we can actually reorder the scenarios so that again we can get the logic we're looking for to forward the call at the right time to the right person. Another type of option for routing rules is you might not be interested in schedules, but you might be interested in where the call is coming from. So you have the ability to actually redirect the call based on, maybe it's a paid ad. So if it's a paid ad, or I should say a Google ad, if it was a Google ad, the source is Google, Bing, etc. You can forward the number to a specific number on your side. Or the medium, so the medium would be paid. So maybe it's a case you're looking for anybody who's called as a result of a Google paid ad versus a Google search term. Again, you can have a separate number on your side in your organization. You can have that number ring if the call was, in this case, was a result of a paid ad. So these are the routing rules, and once we have a routing rule, we can go in and assign one of our offline numbers. We can just edit it, and we can select the appropriate routing rule. So, and where we do that is we just pick the number, we go in here, and we choose the routing rule now. And if I had 403.555.1212 as the default number, any rules, first we'll try to process the routing rule, and if all of the routing rules fail, it will go to the default forward number. Or if I have this checked, it will again try the routing rules, and if they fail, it will fall back to calling the contact manager. And if there's no contact manager, it will fail and go to actually the default forwarding number. So you see here, it's very powerful. For your offline initiatives, you've got some great options as far as when and where you want the calls to go, and who you're going to route the calls to. Now I'm going to talk about the online initiatives, and it's a little bit different because the technology is a little bit different to, again, tap into that extra data that's available as a result of the online web session. And what we do here is something called dynamic number insertion. So with dynamic number insertion, what we're going to do is try to serve up a number out of the pool of numbers here on the website, and try to give each concurrent session their own phone number. So when the phone number is called, we can tap into all of the data related to that web session. Like, for example, the refer, whether it was a paid ad or whether there's a Google search term. All of this stuff is available as a result of the person visiting the website. And how it's done, again, is just we dynamically insert a number on the website, and we try to insert a number that is unique for the concurrent session. So if you have let's say 2 concurrent sessions, clearly the minimum number of numbers in your pool depth has to be at least 2. And there's two factors. One is the session depth, number of concurrent sessions. The second variable in the whole process is, of course, what is the session length. So ActiveDEMAND will be constantly viewing your website and come up with a calculation based on how many people are typically concurrently on your website and what is the average session length, and we'll come up with a recommendation as to what is your pool depth required to get this dynamic number technology working. So really there's a dynamic pool here, and with the dynamic pool what we're going to do is just add numbers, and you can use these numbers, but they'll be removed from the offline initiatives, and really the process only works if you're using unique numbers for your website versus your offline initiatives. And offline, what I mean is the numbers viewed somewhere other than your website. So we can go ahead and create numbers. We can create a whole set of numbers, and again, toll-free or local, and we can search a bunch of numbers. We can add a bunch of numbers to our dynamic number insertion pool, and voila, the numbers will. These are the default routing rules for all of these numbers. And we don't have to set a calling rule for these numbers, but we can go ahead and save them, because really for the dynamic number insertion we can set up calling rules for the pool. Now if I go to the pool here and edit the pool, it's a case that really what would happen is I can create a dynamic number, forwarding, I can use one of these forwarding rules for the dynamic number insertion, and I type the numbers that are on the website today that will be replaced. So the set of numbers that are typed in here, if they appear on your website, they will be replaced with one of the numbers in the dynamic number insertion pool. You can actually set up separate pools for different offices or different countries. So if you have multiple offices, you can set up, okay, these numbers are only going to be replaced, and you could have in this group, for example, only numbers that are New York numbers, and you'll only replace them for people who were in New York. So really what happens is that when somebody visits New York City and they look at your website, we will use this group of numbers to try to track the person. And you could set up a separate dynamic number insertion pool for maybe you have a German office, and then numbers that are local to Germany for the people who are viewing the website in Germany, for example. Or you might have multiple offices, and the multiple offices numbers, you might have a New York number and a Los Angeles number, and the two numbers are displayed on your website. And really what you'll need is two separate DNI, dynamic number insertion groups, one to replace the New York number and one to replace the Los Angeles number. So the whole concept of the DNI groups, you will need a group or a pool of numbers to serve up to try to again associate the call with the current web session. And just to review, that you need a DNI group, and if you have more than one number that needs to be replaced with a separate group of numbers or a separate forwarding rule, you'll need more than one group. And if you want to do geographic targeting with the numbers, again, you'll need a group, a DNI pool for each of the geographic locations that you are targeting. That concludes the basics of setting up call tracking and how call tracking works.